The legendary treasure of Oak Island is no longer a mystery, it's real. According to the History Channel, a staggering $350 million discovery has been confirmed. Rick Lagina and the team have done it. They've uncovered gold bars, ancient artifacts, and untouched manuscripts hidden away for centuries. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. It's solid proof. Every chest, every stack of gold, every corner of the hidden chamber radiates unimaginable value. The whole world is now watching. Rival crews, researchers, and treasure hunters understand the gravity of this moment. One wrong move could risk losing it all. This discovery has the potential to change everything. Centuries of unanswered questions have just been brought into the light. The treasure is real, its scale massive, and its impact could reach far beyond Oak Island. So before we take you deeper into this historic breakthrough, make sure to like and subscribe, because what you're about to see could quite literally rewrite history. The new excavation season kicked off with intensity. Heavy machinery shook the ground as dirt and mud flew in all directions. But then, something strange happened. A vibration, subtle at first, ran through the legendary money pit. It soon became impossible to ignore. Operators froze mid-motion. All eyes turned as the cameras zoomed in on the trembling earth. A piercing metal detector signal cut through the air. Silence followed, heavy and complete. Rick Lagina's eyes narrowed, scanning the area with intense focus. This wasn't just another find. Something massive, something intentional was buried beneath them. Drone footage and sonar scans revealed something astonishing. A vast underground void, deep and wide, big enough to house a vault the size of a small building. Whispers spread quickly among the crew. Could this finally be the elusive $350 million treasure that's haunted Oak Island for generations? Excavation began carefully. As soil was gently removed from the area with the strongest signal, a circular stone hatch slowly appeared. Its surface was etched with worn but deliberate symbols, unlike anything found on the island before. Rick and Marty exchanged a tense, silent glance. Even the most experienced team members held their breath. Ground-penetrating radar revealed tunnels twisting away from the hatch at strange, unnatural angles, like veins of some ancient, buried secret. The markings looked like a blend of Templar and Phoenician symbols, hinting at secret societies and long-lost civilizations. The hatch itself felt like it had a purpose, sealed not just to protect treasure, but perhaps to guard a legacy, or prevent something from being disturbed. Engineers, archaeologists, and specialists gathered as the team prepared to open it. With careful precision, they lifted the lid. Beneath it lay a narrow, spiraling stone staircase. A faint golden glow rose with the dust, carrying the scent of old wood, metal, and time itself. The camera captured Rick's reaction, silent and still, a rare moment from a man usually calm under pressure. Marty finally broke the silence, his voice shaking. This is it! At the base of the stairs sat a colossal wooden chest, sealed under 6 centuries of earth and corrosion. As they slowly opened it, a flood of golden light filled the chamber. Thick, hand-minted coins spilled over the edges. Jewel-encrusted goblets, sacred relics, and artifacts of immense historical value glittered in the light. Oak Island had finally given up its greatest secret, and the world will never look at history the same way again. Each artifact seemed to whisper stories of forgotten craftsmanship, long-lost voyages, and the shadowy workings of secret societies. Craig Tester carefully lifted a handful of ancient coins, running his fingers over the raised edges, feeling the weight of centuries pressed into gold. Some bore the unmistakable cross of the Knights Templar, while others were etched with mysterious symbols that defied immediate understanding. As experts analyzed the coins, what they confirmed was beyond anything the team had imagined. These relics were hundreds of years older than the earliest known settlements in North America. Some coins clearly originated from Europe, while others hinted at ancient Phoenician influence, suggesting that contact with the New World might have occurred far earlier than history records. Each coin was scanned and catalogued with meticulous precision using advanced 3D imaging. Their collective monetary value was quickly estimated in the tens of millions. But even that figure paled in comparison to their historical worth. Under close examination, faint inscriptions began to emerge, almost invisible to the naked eye. These weren't just coins, they were messages. Some inscriptions resembled fragments of a map. Others hinted at sacred or ritualistic purposes, as though the coins were designed not just to be spent, but to guide or protect something far greater. Leaning over one particularly worn piece, Marty examined it through a magnifying glass and whispered to Rick, "This isn't just gold. It's a message." The realization slowly dawned on the team. This wasn't simply buried treasure. It might be a carefully planted archive of knowledge left by a secret society with a purpose lost to time. And the coins were only the beginning. Beneath them, the chest revealed other astonishingly well-preserved artifacts. A silver goblet caught the dim light, its surface adorned with intricate royal emblems. Experts speculated it might be French or Spanish in origin, possibly ceremonial, once belonging to a noble or religious order. Then came wooden statues, delicately carved with stunning precision. They depicted medieval kings, queens, and family scenes, each figure detailed down to the folds in their garments and the expressions on their faces. It was as if every piece was made not just to endure, but to communicate, to tell stories to those who would eventually uncover them. Among the treasures, a fragment of cloth caught Rick's attention. It was naturally dyed and bore a faded red cross, clearly a symbol tied to the Knights Templar. Though its fibers were fragile, under close inspection, the fabric seemed to emit a faint glow, as if it still held some trace of the sacred purpose it once served. Scientific analysis confirmed what the team already suspected. These artifacts were over 600 years old, dating back to the late medieval period. But what they had found wasn't just treasure. It was history, preserved and hidden with intention. The goblets, the statues, the ancient cloth. They weren't merely symbols of wealth, but pieces of a forgotten civilization, stored away for reasons still unclear. The team began to see Oak Island in a new light. It wasn't just a place where fortune had been buried. It was a vault of preserved knowledge, rituals, and secrets left behind for a reason. And just as they thought they had uncovered the heart of the mystery, something even more haunting was found beneath the chest. Among the discoveries was something chilling: partially preserved human bones, clearly centuries old. Forensic analysis pointed to a single individual, possibly a knight or a devoted guardian of the treasure. It appeared he had been deliberately buried there, a final protector left to stand watch over the hoard. Rick looked at the remains with a solemn expression, his voice quiet. "This treasure came at a cost," he said. "And perhaps, after all the legends, the curse of Oak Island was real. Every coin, every relic, and now these ancient bones hinted at a deeper purpose, one that went far beyond mere wealth. It told a story of sacrifice, secrecy, ritual, and warning." Motivated by this sobering discovery, the team turned to advanced technology. Ground-penetrating radar and sonar scans unveiled something extraordinary. A vast, intricate network of tunnels beneath Oak Island, far more complex than anyone had ever imagined. The tunnels twisted and turned like the veins of an ancient being, clearly designed with intention. The central vault sparkled with coins, relics, and sacred artifacts. But beyond it, hidden corridors led to even larger chambers, possibly housing more treasure, ancient documents, or objects of immeasurable historical significance. Some passages were designed to flood, while others had reinforced stone walls showing a blend of engineering, artistry, and ritualistic architecture from centuries past. Rick and Marty advanced with caution, mapping every corridor, realizing that Oak Island wasn't just a hiding place for treasure. It was a layered, centuries-old puzzle, testing the resolve of anyone determined to uncover its secrets. Throughout the chambers and tunnels, the same cryptic symbols repeated themselves, on walls, artifacts, even fragments of fabric. Crosses, coded markings, ceremonial patterns. All of it hinted strongly at a connection to the Knights Templar. As more, Evidence surfaced. Historians and researchers began to believe the unthinkable, that the Templars, or a related secret society, may have reached North America long before Columbus ever set sail. Some experts went further, proposing that Oak Island held more than gold or riches. They believed it might be a repository for religious relics, forbidden knowledge, or sacred tools, deliberately hidden to protect them from a world not ready to understand their power. The alignment of the tunnels, the precise layout of the vaults, and the ritualistic design of the chambers all supported this theory. The entire island seemed to follow an ancient blueprint used by secret orders to guard their most treasured secrets. Standing before one of the intricately carved stone walls, Rick traced the symbols with his hand and whispered, "This isn't just gold. This is a message from the past, hidden until the world was ready to hear it." That realization struck the entire team. It changed how they moved, how they worked. Every step became slower, more careful, filled with a sense of reverence and awe. And with it, the legend of the Oak Island curse grew heavier. 6 lives had already been lost in the centuries-long pursuit of the island's secrets. And now, strange occurrences began to escalate. Sudden storms sweeping across the island, machinery breaking down for no clear reason, and even bursts of toxic gas seeping from deep within the earth. It felt like the island itself was warning them. Team members reported hearing strange sounds echoing through the tunnels, unexplained voices, whispers, or the shifting of unseen things. Cold spots seemed to follow them, and at times, in the dim glow of their lights, flickers of movement or glimmers of energy danced across the stone walls. The deeper they went, the more it felt like they weren't alone. Some dismissed the strange events as mere coincidence, but others, especially Marty, began to wonder if the island itself was pushing back. It felt alive, as if it were guarding its secrets, unwilling to surrender them without a price. The tension was thick. Every step forward came with a sense of risk, not just from physical dangers, but from something deeper, something possibly supernatural. What began as a historical investigation had crossed into the realm of legend. The once engineered tunnels and chambers now felt like something more. Pathways into a past soaked in secrecy, ritual, and sacrifice. Oak Island was proving to be more than a site of buried treasure. It demanded more than curiosity. It required respect, intelligence, and perhaps a kind of bravery that couldn't be taught. With each step deeper into the labyrinth, the team wasn't just uncovering artifacts. They were walking into the mindset of those who had built it. It felt like they were being tested by a legacy that had waited hundreds of years for someone worthy enough to truly understand it. The shimmer of gold, the mysterious markings etched into stone and metal, and the remains of a human life buried below it all. These weren't just signs of wealth. They were pieces of a story, a carefully constructed message buried in layers of earth and time. Everything they uncovered pointed to a deliberate plan. The flooded channels weren't accidental. They seemed to follow specific patterns, possibly representing a ritual cleansing or a defense mechanism designed to confuse and repel outsiders. Some tunnels were deliberately blocked with perfectly placed stones, likely concealing chambers that held even greater secrets. The layout of the vaults themselves wasn't random. Many aligned with the cardinal points, suggesting a sacred or celestial blueprint. GPR scans revealed massive voids that couldn't have formed naturally, chambers that likely held more relics, more records, and perhaps truths that could change how history is understood. Symbols began to appear in variations, repeating just enough to suggest a language or code long forgotten. It was as if the builders had left behind a form of communication meant only for the initiated, those deemed worthy of unlocking the truth. The deeper the team ventured, the more the island seemed to take on a life of its own. The mechanical hum of excavation, the rustling trees above, even the cries of seagulls started to fade. In their place came a strange, almost spiritual silence. Rick became visibly more focused, studying every mark, every coin, every fragment of stone and metal with the weight of reverence. Marty's hands trembled as he uncovered another piece of a wooden chest. The signs were impossible to ignore. The ancient bones, coins marked with undecipherable scripts, the goblets and carved statues. They all hinted at a civilization that cherished secrecy, ritual, and possibly held a purpose not entirely of this world. Each corridor, each sealed chamber, didn't just serve as protection. They seemed designed to communicate, to teach a lesson, to issue a warning, or to pass on a message embedded deep within the island itself. And the further they went, the more unexplainable phenomena emerged. Unnatural lights danced along the walls. Cold gusts of air moved unpredictably through the tunnels. The ground vibrated subtly beneath their feet, as though something ancient still stirred beneath the island. What was once dismissed as folklore, the curse of Oak Island, now felt chillingly real. It wasn't just part of the legend. It was part of the architecture, part of the purpose. The island's mystery wasn't just buried in its soil. It was alive in its design, pulsing through every stone, every tunnel, every sacred chamber. Every misstep, every minor miscalculation now carried significant risk. Not just physical danger, but the possibility of disrupting a carefully designed system left behind by those who had created this hidden legacy. Fully aware of the stakes, the team proceeded with extreme care, examining each artifact with precision and respect. The coins were weighed, scanned, and subjected to chemical analysis. The results revealed metal alloys and minting techniques consistent with medieval European craftsmanship. Some bore cryptic inscriptions, possibly linked to secretive societies or rituals whose true meaning had been lost to time. Fragments of cloth, dyed with natural pigments and marked by a faded red cross resembling the banners of the Knights Templar, underwent fiber testing. The findings confirmed their ceremonial origins. Radiocarbon dating of the human remains placed them in the 14th to 15th centuries, reinforcing the theory of ritualized burial and guardianship. Silver goblets and carved wooden statues reflected the sophisticated artistry of noble European courts. Their delicate forms and symbolic carvings hinted at allegorical stories or teachings that were meant to be preserved, perhaps to be rediscovered at the right time. As more scientific data emerged, the team began to understand the true magnitude of their discovery. This wasn't just a treasure trove. The value couldn't be measured in gold alone. Experts placed the material worth at around $350 million, but stressed that Oak Island represented something far more complex, a convergence point of archaeology, anthropology, and the veiled history of secret societies. Each item was part of a deliberate and enduring design, meant to protect not just wealth, but knowledge, and to preserve it across centuries. The realization hit hard. What they had uncovered was just a fragment of a far deeper narrative. More tunnels, chambers, and perhaps documents or relics of even greater significance likely remained hidden beneath the island's surface. The discovery sparked a worldwide reaction. News outlets erupted with coverage, historians debated the implications, and international researchers began weighing in. Some scholars went so far as to suggest that the artifacts might contain information capable of rewriting entire chapters of known history. They pointed to the possibility that secret societies had crossed the Atlantic and established a presence in North America centuries before any recognized European explorers. But amid the excitement, suspicion also began to rise. Footage from the dig site showed military helicopters circling above restricted zones. Segments of video were edited or redacted, prompting questions about whether some discoveries were being intentionally withheld from the public. The conversation shifted. Was Oak Island simply a massive treasure hunt? Or had it become a gateway to something far bigger? A hidden archive, created by ancient orders to safeguard knowledge considered too dangerous for the world to know? With global attention intensifying and scrutiny increasing, the team knew that any further exploration would now carry immense responsibility. What they were uncovering was no longer just about the past. It had become a matter of global curiosity, historical integrity, and possibly geopolitical interest. The first vault, though now fully excavated, had evolved from a collection of valuables into a carefully preserved chapter of human history. Every artifact was documented, photographed, and catalogued with scientific precision, ensuring future generations could study and interpret its meaning. As they stood among the remnants of the past, Rick and Marty reflected on the long journey. Years of digging, personal sacrifice, near misses, and relentless perseverance had finally led them to this moment. A moment that would forever change what the world knew about Oak Island. Through sheer perseverance, Rick, Marty, and their team had transformed Oak Island from a centuries-old legend into a site of confirmed historical significance. But despite the uncovering of $350 million in treasure, the feeling of incompletion lingered. The island still guarded secrets no amount of digging had fully revealed. Advanced sonar and ground-penetrating radar continued to detect voids and unexplored chambers just beyond the first vault. Symbols carved into walls and scattered across artifacts hinted at messages still waiting to be decoded. Some seemed meant to guide the worthy, others perhaps designed to mislead or conceal truths from those uninitiated. It was becoming clear that Oak Island was never simply a treasure trove. It was a purpose-built archive, designed to challenge, to test, and to reward those willing to unlock its secrets with patience and care. As the story unfolded, the world took notice. Scholars debated connections to the Knights Templar, Phoenician navigators, and other clandestine groups, while archaeologists marveled at the complexity of the ancient engineering beneath their feet. Quiet government interest began to emerge, perhaps out of curiosity, perhaps out of concern, casting an unspoken shadow over the excavation efforts. At this point, the team's mission had evolved beyond personal ambition. They were uncovering truths that could challenge accepted historical timelines, reshape theories of exploration and early contact, and expose hidden traditions of secrecy and ritual that had remained untouched for centuries. Even the atmosphere on the island had changed. Reports of sudden, unexplainable storms, flickering lights in the tunnels, and unexplained structural shifts began to surface. What once seemed like superstition, the island's infamous curse, now felt eerily intertwined with the unfolding discoveries. Every step, every dig, every measurement came with a growing sense of reverence, as if they were navigating a space not just protected by traps, but by time and intention itself. Striking a careful balance between technology, instinct, and respect, the team proceeded with caution. Each find was studied with meticulous care, ensuring nothing was damaged or misunderstood. Artifacts were displayed and analyzed layer by layer, coins etched with unidentifiable languages, goblets seemingly designed for ceremonial use, and bones that hinted at ritual burials. Together, they began to form a story, a narrative built not on greed, but on preservation. The builders of Oak Island hadn't just hidden treasure, they had hidden meaning. Their work revealed extraordinary foresight and sophistication. These weren't just ancient hoarders, they were curators of knowledge, guided perhaps by spiritual or moral intent, who wanted their legacy preserved but protected from the unworthy. Rick and Marty reflected often on the journey, the years of effort, the financial risks, the moments of doubt. What started as a quest for lost gold had grown into something far more profound. And as incredible as the first vault had been, they now knew it was only one piece of a much larger puzzle. There were still countless tunnels unexplored, hidden chambers yet to be found, and symbols still waiting to be decoded. The deeper they went, the higher the stakes became. Every new discovery had the potential to shift humanity's understanding of its own past. Oak Island had now crossed the line from myth to documented reality. Yet the echoes of warnings, curses, and riddles remained. The team had become more than explorers. They were now stewards of something far greater. Every artifact they uncovered, every corridor they entered, every coded message they unraveled became a part of a larger legacy that stretched across time. The world continued to watch. Historians debated, theorists speculated, and Oak Island, mysterious, ancient, and deliberate, still guarded the remainder of its secrets with the same silent intensity it had for generations. With the first vault fully excavated, cataloged, and studied, the next phase of the expedition loomed. The tunnels stretched further, and the potential for discovery only grew. Some experts believed what lay ahead could far surpass the already confirmed treasure in both value and historical impact. The relics uncovered so far, coins, fabrics, bones, goblets, had already forced scholars to rewrite parts of the historical record. Yet all signs pointed to even greater truths still buried beneath Oak Island's soil. The island's complex design and deeply layered secrets suggested that its most profound revelations were still waiting, reserved for those persistent and respectful enough to follow the trail laid centuries ago.